If you're familiar with our videos, you'll know they can be long-winded. So from these, we've cut shorter clips of tips and techniques. This is not about clicks. It's about finding useful stuff without having to trawl through twaddle. It's our way of indexing practical advice. Now, if you've watched these films before, you'll have heard us speak of a thing called apical dominance. This is the top growth of a shoot. The top growth of the shoot is what produces the extension growth. If we take that out, that top shoot, if we say cut it back 3 or 4 inches, or in apple trees and bay trees and things you're wanting to train, if you take that top shoot out, the buds below the pruning cut all try and become the new lead growth, the new apical shoot, the more dominant lead that's going to produce more extension growth. But also the ones below that, the bottom 4, they all vie for that position, so you get a branched opening to a plant. You know, the plant becomes much more branched. That's how we turn a tree into a shrub, really, if we want to. Now, roses are the prime example. People have these romantic dreams of cottages with roses on the front, around the door, and invariably you end up with a rose that's got bugger all at the bottom, open-arsed as we call it, going up the wall, and all the flowers are hanging around in the bloody gutter, as in this one. Now, unless you know what you're doing, most people prune it back, and they'll prune this tree, this rose tree, to about half its height, just above the windows. What happens then is all the buds below that try and become the new dominant shoot, and consequently dominant shoots go upwards, extension growth. So what we need to do is to get rid of most of this, all of this stuff on the top, and the shoots, the branches that are going upwards, we're going to pull over to the horizontal. Now you can pull them over till you almost hear them cracking. When you do that, as I'm going to show you here, we bring this branch over to the horizontal. All the dormant buds along that stem will then try to become the new lead growth, rather than the one at the top, so they'll all be of equal vigour. By using that method and bringing these branches down to the horizontal, we can then fill up the wall again with nice new shoots, and from those shoots you'll get secondary shoots or laterals, and they'll carry the flower. But if you just reduce it in height, as I've said before, all that will happen is that the shoots will go right up to the top, all the buds will be at the top, and your flowers will be somewhere over the roof, not around the door, as we see in these chocolate box cottages. Anyway, I'm going to get one of my apprentices to come and do this, and then you can see what it looks like afterwards, and you'll learn in the process. So what we're doing here is reducing the rows back to a framework. What we don't want is anything tied in on the vertical. If we tie stuff on the vertical, as here, where is it? There, just there, you can see all that happens is the growth goes all the way up to the top. So this rose has been wrongly pruned, in as much as everything has been tied vertically. It's gone right up to the top, right up past the gutter end. Well, it's now going to make it a pain in the ass to do. But if we reduce it back, as Clara's doing here, all the laterals to one bud, we'll be left with a framework which we can then adapt a little bit and bring down onto the vertical. We'll have to untie or cut off some of the ties where it's been tied in upright. As I've said before, it's when you want the dormant buds to activate along the length of the stem, not just at the end. I know this is long-winded, but it's so many people bollocks this up. As you can see, we're now starting to get some sort of shape, some sort of shapeliness. Like
more coming out instead of up.
Yeah.
So next year the flowers will be all over.
As opposed to
nice.
Above the guttering. I know I keep on about that, but there's nothing gets on my tit ends more than seeing a climbing rose on the front of a nice house, and all the bloody roses are right at the top. Anyway, I'll shut up now because I'm sounding like a bloody record player. But you can see we're starting to get there now. Some of the main stems we've left, and we'll see if we can't get them pulled down. What are you looking at? So there we are with the finished rose. Hopefully that will break away again in the summer. There's a nice framework, and you can see that one of the branches I've taken here right down to the base, so that we can next year form an even more resilient framework that comes up through the middle of the wall, so that we fill it out completely and we have lots of shoots that we can bring down onto the horizontal. This, by the way, is pig wire. People sometimes put trellis on, but trellis rots away and then it's a pig of a job, if you'll pardon the pun, to get it off, get the rose off and then replace the trellis, whereas the pig wire, it's brilliant because it lasts decades.